Yeah, welcome to the 6:15 News with me, Kejon Henry at Tembe. We begin with our headlines. Security forces have raided a notorious criminal hub in Yaounde's Chinga Elobi neighborhood, seizing drugs, weapons and arresting nearly 200 suspects. The raid is part of a citywide crackdown to uncover a makeshift crime laboratory fueling theft and drug trafficking. A tragic case in New Bell Douala where 2 children died after eating snacks given out as charity has shaken public trust in acts of goodwill. As grief mixes with suspicion, the incident ignites debate over food safety and the art of generosity. And Issa Chiruma Bakari has officially entered Cameroon's 2025 presidential race, vowing in a fiery open letter to return power to the people. Denouncing early dominance, he promises a transformative agenda centered on justice, transparency and unity across the nation's divide. Welcome to the 6:15 News, reaching you live from our studios in Douala. Thanks and welcome to join me. You can hook up with us on our respective platforms on Canal International. We begin from Yaounde, where the Minister of Employment and Vocational Training, Issa Chiruma Bakari, one-time ally to the CPDM or President Paul Biya, has officially entered Cameroon's 2025 presidential race, vowing in a very fiery open letter to return power to the people. So denouncing early dominance, he has promised a transformative agenda that is centered on justice, transparency and unity across Cameroon. Titles with Morinti.
In a letter addressed to the Cameroonian people, Issa Chiruma Bakari outlines his vision for the country's future, emphasizing the needs for change and promising to restore power to the people. In the 24-page letter, Issa Chiruma pledged to refocus the country's governance, ensuring that power is held by the people, not a selected few. He vowed to address the country's pressing issues, including insecurity, corruption, and economic stagnation. The candidate emphasized the importance of unity, calling on Cameroonians to put aside their differences and work towards a common goal. Issa Chiruma also highlighted his commitment to social justice, promising to improve the lives of the most vulnerable members of society. He did not end there. He went ahead by making major proposals, establishing a new national dialogue to bring together different stakeholders and foster a sense of unity and purpose. He reiterates implementing reforms to ensure free and fair elections and promoting transparency and accountability in governance, developing a comprehensive plan to address the country's security challenges, including the Boko Haram insurgency and the Anglophone crisis. He emphasized on education. He promised investing in education, healthcare, and infrastructure to drive economic growth and improve living standards. In all, the 24-page letter, Issa Chiruma is calling for action, as his letter concluded with passionate appeal to the Cameroonian people, urging them to join him in his quest for change, as he emphasized that the time for waiting is over and that collective action is needed to build a brighter future for the country.
Elsewhere, it is the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, the CRM, that has officially welcomed and presented some elected officials who crossed carpet to join the opposition party. And according to some of these officials, they say it is going to ease President Tous' bid for the presidency. Hyacinthia reports from Yaounde.
They have publicly turned their backs on their political parties to join the ranks of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement as elected officials in different councils. A decision they say is motivated by various factors.
this party is fighting truly for a democratic change in Cameroon. And we saw that the fighting spirit that we had in our former party, it is only within CRM party that we can continue that fighting spirit. And that's what motivated us to join the CRM party.
Officially welcomed in a press briefing this June 26 at the party's headquarters in Yaounde, the new militants reiterate that they will serve as catalysts of winning upcoming elections.
I've been winning elections in Bafoussam since 1996. I've never failed in any election. It means that we know how to organize and win an election in a council. We are coming with all the experience that we have gathered in organizing local elections and winning. We are bringing that spirit to make sure that CRM party win all the councils in the West region when next local elections comes.
Presided at by the second vice president, Tiran Noir, the party officials say the 7 representatives of the people, 4 present and 3 in absentia, have come to consolidate Maurice Kamto's candidacy.
We are very delighted to see that persons coming from other political parties are joining the Cameroon Renaissance Movement. Not only ordinary militants, but these are elected officials of other political parties that have joined us today. And today the party is very grateful to them because they will come with their input, with the experience they have, to join with what we have to win the presidential elections.
The elected officials are councillors in Bafoussam 1, Menua, Bangwa and Douala 5 councils.
Thanks, Hyacinth Cheryl. We'll stay back there in Yaounde, where security operatives have raided a notorious criminal hub in Yaounde's Chingan Elobi neighborhood, and of course they seized drugs, weapons and arrested nearly 200 suspects. The raid is part of what is known as the city-wide crackdown to uncover makeshift criminal laboratory that is fueling theft and drug trafficking. Beatrice Ngamo reports from Yaounde.
Opposite a filling station at the Chinga Elobi neighborhood under Yaounde 2 subdivision, this path leads to the so-called crime laboratory, a less than 100 square meter space rich in content. Medication in large supply, range and varied hard drugs and tools to inject them available. You'll find tramadol, Indian hemp, cannabis and more. Even telephone SIM cards in quantities too. Sure, after the frequent attacks on individuals, their operation weapon, daggers, also available. Close by a big store, warehouse for stolen bikes. Once neutralized with the use of their dagger or other arm, the bike is brought here, where all its reference characteristics, matriculation and others are changed within a short time. Still, at the site, the gendarmes were able to get 10,000 banknotes carved out from the original to produce fake banknotes. The supposed actors were also caught, about 200 in number, who live in this very reduced space where they sell and consume the drugs in open air during the day, like at night. The gendarmes expressed their determination to keep watch over the neighborhood, like others, to ensure that those who were able to run flee the area for good.
Thanks very much, Beatrice Ngamo. And still in drugs, this time in the heart of the economic capital in Douala, a silent crisis is actually consuming the youth. Rising drug addiction that is tearing their lives apart and that of families and communities. So the detoxification center is out to make sure that they bring these young people to order. Details with Morindi.
Frank, 20, now lives in a drug detoxification center at Sidisik in Douala, Cameroon. Influenced by friends, he quickly fell into addiction, a path that shattered his future. He now fights daily to recover, a painful and slow process that haunts many youths across Cameroon.
In a party that I've started taking drugs, my friend proposed to me and I took it.
Statistics shows that almost 350 million people globally use drugs, and in Cameroon the prevalence is about 42.8% among secondary school students.
The center hosts hundreds of young addicts, each battling the consequences of drug use.
The addiction crisis that comes in because of drug use, and we also talk about the mental health situation. We talk about the societal effects, talk about crimes, we talk about violence, we talk about rape.
Experts say removing drugs from the body is far more difficult than consuming them. Relapses are common. Families suffer alongside, desperate to restore their children's lives. Mr. Ashu, a specialist in youth drug abuse, criticizes government repression tactics, calling instead for investment in prevention.
Our government has a tendency to focus more on punitive measures, which calls for a review on such policy, such that our community should focus on aspect of converting punity into preventive actions and removing stigma into a supportive action, and even from removing despair to actually giving that drug addict.
He believes areas where drugs are cultivated could be transformed for positive use.
Involved in drug cultivation, like we have cases like from Banso where people cultivating cannabis, we can convert them to be coffee entrepreneurs. That's another way forward, and maybe invest more too in health prevention, especially within the school milieu, and convert that mentality that addiction is actually a criminal problem to make addiction becomes a health-related problem.
As Cameroon joins the world to mark June 26 International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, the team urges the evidence is clear. Invest in prevention and break the silence.
And a case in New Bell, Douala, where 2 children actually died after eating snacks given out as charity, has shaken public trust in acts of goodwill. And as grief mixes with suspicion, there are already debates over what is known as food safety and the art of generosity.
In the aftermath of the tragic food poisoning incident in New Bell, Douala 2, which left 2 young girls dead and dozens of children hospitalized, attention is turning not just to food safety, but to the role of everyday charity. Despite divided opinions, the incident has triggered broader questions. Should voluntary giving continue? Can communities still rely on informal goodwill without fear?
Si on vient partager encore choses comme ça, quartier moi avait pas prendre.
The snacks believed to have caused the poisoning were reportedly given out by a street vendor who was well known in the area. Residents say he often shared his homemade biscuit and ice cream with children, a practice considered as an act of sadaqah, voluntary charity in Islam, driven by kindness rather than obligation.
Ça me fait pas comment.
I wouldn't say I will start refusing gifts altogether. If I know you, I'll accept it, but I don't take anything from people I don't know. If someone I know offers me a gift, I'll gladly accept it, but from a stranger, no, I won't take it. Sharing is part of our culture. We all give, we all perform sadaqah, but now people are thinking twice. Across New Bell, families and neighbors are now re-evaluating how and from whom they give and receive. For a community built on sharing, it is a painful reckoning.
Thanks, Sherifa. Salary reporting there. And Cameroon has actually launched what is known as a sweeping initiative to eliminate over 1,600 tons of toxic pollutants that are already on the streets. But the campaign that targets persistent organic pollutants is out to make sure that they eradicate these pollutants that is a threat to public health and to the environment. Details with Morinti.
Cameroon is intensifying efforts to eliminate approximately 1,600 tons of persistent organic pollutants, harmful substances found in pesticides, industrial chemicals, and unintended byproducts. These pollutants pose significant risk to both environmental and human health.
It's coming clearer that these components are very harmful for human and for environment, and under the guidance of UNEP and GF, countries like Cameroon, particularly those whom are signatory of the Stockholm Convention, are now benefiting from support to organize the gradual elimination of this very harmful component.
And the recent meeting held in Douala, the Ministry of Environment alongside United Nations experts and various stakeholders reviewed the timeline for the eradication of these hazardous substances. The gathering aimed to assess progress and strategize on effective measures for POPs elimination.
Empowering some universities to analyze these materials, collecting some of them, and we did it. The total volume collected, I can't remember the figure, but something like 30-something tons.
Cameroon is among the pilot countries participating in the global elimination program for chlorinated bisphenyls under the Stockholm Convention, which lists over 20 such pollutants. With 181 countries impacted by POPs, Cameroon has expressed its readiness to confront this challenge head-on, reaffirming its commitment to environmental protection and public health.
And the promotional sale of products of mass consumption has opened in Yaounde. Beatrice Ngamo is reporting that this is an opportunity to ease the inflationary pressure on too many households as the purchasing power has actually dropped. Beatrice.
The products of great consumption are varied and insufficient quantity and quality. 50 to 100 kilograms of rice, washing soap, cooking oil, sugar are all lined up. The price tag tells of a drop of between 500 to 1,000 francs. Even the recently homologated price for beef has witnessed some hundreds cut off here. Improved situation associated to the drop in inflation rate, which many are still to feel in the country. We started with an inflation rate, that is, the increase in consumers' prices. We reached a peak of 7.8% price increase. Today, in May, the inflation rate in Cameroon has been brought down to 3.2%, 3.3%. You are coming from over 7, nearly 8% price increase. I'm convinced that within 2 or 3 months we'll be at 3% inflation. And this is reflected in operations like this, which are useful and will continue to be deployed by the government, getting closer to consumers. During the many ongoing promotion sales in the country, the valorization of local products made in Cameroon center stage. Look at the diversity of refined oils. You don't see any imported oil brands. All are locally refined oil with prices that vary depending on the producers. Outcome of competition, that is to the profit of consumers, and this promotional sales of products of great consumption will be intensified further on the field for a very long time.
Very much, Beatrice Ngamo. You draw the curtains for this edition of the 6:15 with me, Kejan Henry Atimbi. Lee Pijo is coming up next with Lady Brief, the actuality. From all of us, is goodbye.